Women and gender minorities are underrepresented in the music industry, and from our work at PRS Foundation, we realised that they were facing barriers.
I've wanted to obviously chat for ages because I think Keychange is so important. It's really important for the music industry and for festivals and just representation. Could you maybe just talk about what it is and kind of maybe how it came about?
Of course, yeah. Keychange is essentially a movement that campaigns for gender equality in the music industry. It has at its core a participant program that supports 74 music industry professionals and artists every year through kind of talent development opportunities and capacity building, and that's funded by Creative Europe. And it's also a pledge that all music organisations can sign up for to achieve gender parity in all areas of their work. Keychange started at PRS Foundation as a kind of international development from our fund called Women Make Music. So we responded to the PRS membership stats that showed us that women and gender minorities are underrepresented in the music industry, and from our work at PRS Foundation, we realised that they were facing barriers. Not only were they not kind of represented on stages and in funding and at record labels and things like that, but there were actually kind of preventative mechanisms in the music industry that we kind of felt a responsibility to start to try to break down. And actually, when we were speaking to our partners, we realised that there is a will for change. People do actually want to see equality and they do want to support talent or representative talent. And so we kind of brought everyone together, including some of our festival partners, Reeperbahn Festival in Germany, who are now the lead partner on Keychange. And we started this movement kind of halfway through the first talent development project. Alex Schultz from Reeperbahn Festival suggested this pledge as a way that we could engage all music organisations and kind of really help them take their first steps towards equality. So yeah, because as I said, there's this will for change, but I don't think people really know where to start. So I think the pledge is quite a practical and simple way for all organisations to engage in the movement and really pledge their allegiance to equality and to Keychange and make a stand to say, okay, this is something we care about. We're going to have the Keychange logo on our site and we're going to monitor our work, monitor our progress, and just kind of make a conscious effort to program in a way that is more equal.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing. I think, to have something like this, like you say, I feel like, there must be a lot of people who, want to get involved in something like this, but because there wasn't, it wasn't packaged, it wasn't ready to go sort of thing. So it's amazing to have this sort of set up.
I also think it's one thing that I think is really good about Keychange. Obviously, I think many things are really good about it. But I think one of the things that has meant that it's turned more into a movement is that it's so positive. Yeah. So it's not about calling people out and saying, oh, we're good, you're bad. It's about saying, okay, we're all in this together, and we want the music industry to be a supportive and representative environment. So what can we do? And I think that's meant that people have quite organically wanted to join and wanted to sign, and the growth has been steady, and despite the lockdown we're still getting people signing up to the pledge, which is really reassuring.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone, at every part of the music industry can do better, even if they are doing all right at the moment. There's always room for improvement. So in terms of 2020, obviously lockdown has kind of shut down festival season and everything, but I mean, who is involved for the 2020 sort of year-long program, and what does it mean for participants?
So we've got funding from Creative Europe for a 4-year program, and in 2020 we've got 74 participants who will take part in activity that involves 13 partners from Europe and Canada. So Reaper Barn Festival are the lead partner in this Creative Europe funded project, and each participant on the programme will go to at least 2 events, and all of the participants will be at Reaper Barn Festival in 2020. As it stands, all 13 of our festivals will go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, which I mean, we realise is an optimistic and hopeful position to be in. But we're just staying in touch with everyone, and we're trying to respond to like the context in every different country and for every different festival. And also in response to the pandemic, we've brought about an online program of webinars and mentoring in order to support the participants in the absence of live events.
There's some great articles on, I know in the past, from like BBC and things that I remember sharing on Twitter. And one of them was saying in 2018, 45 festival events pledged to achieve a 50-50 gender balance by 2022. Do you think that is on track, more or less?
We now have over 300 signatories, and our outreach coordinator, Francine, is in touch with that network of signatories on a regular basis. We collect data from them annually, and we kind of send them updates on Keychange and things like that. So we've asked them kind of how the pandemic is affecting their pledge, or if they think it will affect their pledge. And so far the response has been quite positive. Like, we know that the pandemic will affect women and gender minorities differently because of the pay gap and things like that. We all enter this pandemic in a different financial situation. But because our signatories have signed the pledge and we know that they care about equality and making progress and steps towards parity, like, we know that that will be part of everything that they do, almost on a kind of subconscious level. So many of them are already achieving gender parity, and for those that think that the pledge will affect them, we're confident that we can still support them to make progress, and hopefully get to that stage by 2022.
So post, you say it was kind of a, do you say 4-year kind of scheme?
Yeah, so so basically, as it stands, and this may change because of the pandemic, like, the timeline at the moment is that we have a participant program in 2020, 2021 and 2022. And then we'll host a big conference in 2023 at Tallinn Music Week, where we will kind of reveal the results of the 5-year pledge. And also kind of produce a big report on the participant program to show how Keychange has influenced the careers of all of our participants, the wider music industry, and then kind of programming as part of the pledge.
Is there any risk that because it's an EU funded project that, you know, because of uncertainty with Brexit and everything, is there any, you know, risk that could affect Keychange?
Luckily, when PRS Foundation were applying for the Creative Europe grant, Vanessa Reed and Jess Partridge, who were kind of leading the Keychange project at that time, planned for Brexit to happen. And so because Keychange was already centred on collaboration, we just kind of spoke to our partners and decided that Reaper Barn Festival in Hamburg should lead the funding bid for this 4-year project. So they are the lead partners. And so Brexit will not affect the project at all. There are kind of nuances or complications because of Brexit, and obviously we would love to still be fully involved in Creative Europe, and we fully believe that Creative Europe played a vital role in the kind of vibrancy of the UK creative industry. But the reality is that Brexit is happening, and so we've kind of planned for that, and we don't see it affecting the project.
So what can people do to support Keychange?
First of all, any music organisation can sign up to the Keychange pledge. So if you work in music in any way, please speak to us. Please speak to your colleagues and sign up to the pledge, which is just a kind of document that says here are areas of our work where we would like to improve gender representation. We will monitor that over the next 5 years, and hopefully make change. Secondly, you can check out Keychange on socials, so at Keychange EU on all channels. We have a cohort of amazing participants who are involved in the music industry and who create music, and it is awesome. Like the talent on the program is exceptional. So like just listening and engaging with those participants and with our social media would be rad. And book that talent for your events, for your showcases, for your conferences, for your webinars. We have this, with this talent bank of brilliant participants that is kind of there as a sort of indication of the people that really thrive when they're given the right opportunities. And then like in terms of like affecting policy or taking part in the movement, just reach out to us and engage.
Having been a promoter for a long time of a different era, there's kind of, there really is no excuse whatsoever for promoters or, bookers of any kind to not seek gender parity in, in their lineup. So, I get so frustrated when it's, I remember there was a particular festival saying, women need to step up if they want to be, involved in the lineup. And it's so frustrating that kind of, in 2020, it's still hearing that basically.
I think that like there's a perspective that the burden or the responsibility should be on like one group of people, but Keychange is all about accepting and taking responsibility, and accepting that we're all in it together, and if we want meaningful change to happen, then there needs to be like that acknowledgement at every level of the industry, and for us not to place the burden on the people who are most vulnerable, who are like the artists, and the industry professionals who are facing these barriers on a day-to-day basis. We have the power, by taking that responsibility, to make that change and make the music industry a better place that is ultimately going to produce more excellent new music. Like the people that are leaving the industry because of these barriers, that's like our loss.
Definitely.
I think the sooner that everyone kind of takes responsibility for that loss, the sooner we'll actually start to see the change on the lineups and publishers, record labels, as on boards and CEOs, things like that. When Matty Healy from the 1975 came out and said like that, I'll put it in my contract, I think that was a really welcome public statement, because I think that it's so important that we talk about the fact that gender equality is a positive move and a positive campaign for everyone, not just women and gender minorities. It's a step for progress, and it will make the music industry a more interesting, more sustainable, more representative environment, which will be positive for everyone. So like we really welcome allies, and we want to include men and all genders in our conversations. The opportunities are targeted for women and gender minorities because we're trying to support people who face barriers because of their gender. But in empowering those people, everyone can take part, and I think it's really important that they do.
Thanks so much to Maxie for a brilliant conversation, and to everyone at PRS Foundation and Keychange for the valuable work that they're doing
for the music industry. In next week's episode, I talk to Ryan Mason, one of the founders of Glory magazine, a high-end football and travel publication that's putting the beautiful back in the beautiful game. Click subscribe so you don't miss that and weekly episodes. Stay safe and stay connected.